A recent trend on social media that you might have noticed is a large segment of Indians who live abroad wanting to return back to India. Whether it's higher salaries, a lower cost of living, or overall better growth opportunities and being close to family at the same time, these factors are extremely alluring for people who've been abroad for a couple of years to now consider returning back. These factors, along with my business being predominantly managed in India, along with a large part of my network already established there, this was something that was weighing on my mind for quite a while. So, looking at future growth prospects in India, I was considering returning back as well. And I spent the past 3 months living in India to see exactly if this would be the right fit. What was my overall experience? What were some of the things that I liked and a few things that weren't too comfortable? Along with future growth opportunities, whether you're a business owner or a professional. Stay tuned till the end of the video to find out more. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Siddharth and I make content for well-established Indians who want to move abroad, or if you're an NRI and you're considering moving back, this content might be relevant to you. Your first experience at the airport is always positive. It's a great first impression, especially looking at the infrastructure. Giving you an example, the airport at Bangalore looks absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best in the world and people are extremely friendly and informal. There's a certain sense of comfort when you meet and interact with people from your own region, when you're able to talk in your own native language, and people being extremely warm and hospitable. Adding to this, the weather is absolutely amazing, especially if you're coming from one of the colder regions of the world. You will enjoy being back in India with a much more moderate weather, especially winters in Bangalore. This positive experience carries on after you step out of the airport as well. Your first good chai or filter coffee that doesn't cost you a bomb but makes you feel absolutely amazing. The commute from the airport back home also isn't as unpleasant as you imagined it to be. Predominantly because your flight would have probably arrived later in the night or early morning, you don't encounter most of the traffic that you probably did previously. The biggest sense of comfort is probably being back home and with your family. The fact that you don't have to do most of your regular household chores, you've got great home cooked fresh made meals 3 times a day, and being within the company of family and friends is a great experience. This is probably one aspect that a lot of NRIs miss when they're abroad. People are very friendly and pleasant, but there's a certain sense of formality that's associated with these relationships. Although it might not be within your own community, the overall general feeling is that people are very nice and polite, but there's a certain barrier that you kind of get a sense of feeling. As I spent the next couple of days traveling in and around the city, I noticed that there has been significant improvement in the infrastructure, whether it's lakes being rejuvenated or overall general garbage collection, the gated communities that have a thriving ecosystem that includes malls, hospitals, and schools within walking distance, IT parks, planned townships that have housing, hospitals, malls, and schools within the same community so that you don't have to commute far off distances anymore. These are all welcoming sites. Large national level infrastructure projects are being done extremely well and to world-class standards. Whether it is building highways across states, high-speed railway, or even the freight corridor, you see that India is moving in the right direction in terms of building the economy towards being a developed one. While India might not be the best place when it comes to traditional infrastructure, such as having proper roads, parks, anything that includes the digital infrastructure, it's probably one of the best in the world. If you need high-speed internet access at a reasonable cost, that's available. Any new businesses that are built on top of this ecosystem are exceptionally well and far better than what you get in most Western nations too. Even your job opportunities and prospects of people working here, for the most part, if you're really competent, you are making more or on par with similar salaries of what you would earn abroad. Looking at all of these factors, you feel a really good sense of positive sentiment in and around people that you hang out with. People are young, they're ambitious, they're very driven, and overall optimistic about how the economy is doing. Especially if you live in a large city and work for a really good company and are one of the few folks making good salaries, you overall have a really good lifestyle. And this sense of aspirational want that people have is definitely a good sentiment to have. Whereas if you look at the overall sentiment about citizens in other countries, you tend to notice that it is generally negative out there, whereas it's quite the opposite over here. If you have a similar mindset of wanting to be part of South Asian communities in general, where there is a huge emphasis on family and social cohesion, you will feel a lot more at ease and at home being back in India compared to where you actually live. The biggest difference that will definitely put a smile on your face is how convenient certain aspects of your life are. Whether it is being able to order in food at a reasonably good price, get pretty much anything you want at home without having to drive to a certain space. This is probably one of the best things about being back in India, the convenience factor. And because India is still a developing or underdeveloped economy, there's a lot of non-traditional businesses and unorganized businesses that cater to everybody's needs and want. Do you want to give your car for service? There's a guy who'll pick it up and drop it back. Do you want medicines delivered to you? There's a guy who'll come home and do that for you. You want medical tests done? You don't have to wait for months at a stretch to get an appointment. Someone would be willing to come over and take your test done at home, or you could even go to a diagnostic center and have your test results by the end of the day. These are great first impressions and make life a lot more easier. Adding to the fact that you already have an established social network who would be willing to help you out with anything else that you want to do. For example, if you are considering quitting your full-time job and starting a business, you are no longer worried about how you would make rent because you still have your parents' place to live at, or if you've already bought a home in India, you can stay there. You can take those exponential risks to make something big. Even if you do have children, you would probably have house helps or caretakers or even your parents to help you out, your relatives to help you out. Certain things that made you very isolated and risk averse living abroad for a long time, you can now change that sentiment and try out different things. A lot of my friends who were in business were also recommending that I return back because there's a lot of untapped potential to do something new, to create a new business or even expand, because the aspirational and the wealthy population of India is significantly larger than most developed nations. Even if you take just 10% of India's populations, that is relatively larger than Canada and Australia. And there's some people who have serious money in India. They only need different avenues of either investing or spending. If you can capture that market, you can make generational wealth. And these were some conversations that I was having within my network, and this was reinforcing my intention of moving back to India. These were all the positive aspects of what I noticed during my first 2 months of living there. But just like every other relationships, this was just the honeymoon period. You don't realize what are some of the day-to-day challenges and annoyances that can become a big deal breaker. In order to cover that, you can watch the second part of this video where I'll discuss all the cons that I noticed of returning back to India and also find out what my end result was. Thanks.